What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for yet another Tottenham update. We're going to go into the last 24 hours of Tottenham news. If you don't know already, we are on all podcasting platforms such as Spotify, and also we do written content on WeAreTottenhamTV.com, where you can find our merchandise as well. But let's get into the Tottenham update. Going to start off talking about Timo Werner, as Bild are reporting that the option to buy in Timo Werner's Tottenham loan expires on June the 14th, meaning that Spurs have to make the call on his future before then. The clause is set to be included in the deal to ensure that if he returns to Leipzig, they have plenty of time to find a new home for him in this summer window. Werner would be happy to stay at Spurs. He's enjoying his time at the club, but the club are still unsure about taking the opportunity up to sign him permanently. Yeah, I don't think there's too much to be said on this. I think he's still got a lot of proving to do.
Yeah, he's got 10 games to prove it. And look, to be fair to him, in the 7 games I think he's played, it's 4 goal contributions. So I don't think you can really complain about the impact he's had and his level of performance since he's been here, given that he was only supposed to be a short-term 6-month loan covering for players being away, and also taking the burden off the likes of, Brennan Johnson and other players in the front line. And obviously Solomon's injured and that kind of thing. So I'm happy with the impact he's had. But the question being, if we are going to sign him permanently, at the end of the day, he's going to have to take up a space in the squad for next season. And could that space be better used with someone who's better suited to Ange Postecoglou's system? Now, you could argue he's fitted in pretty well under Ange Postecoglou, and for 15 million, for that price, are you getting much better than Werner? You can probably, I think it's pretty safe to say 15 million, you're not going to get much better than Timo Werner in this current market. But should we be setting our sights higher? Should we be looking to spend a bit more money on a player in that position and just get someone who's a perfect fit, rather than going a bit cheaper and going for Werner for someone who can probably do it? I think he's proven he can do a job, but is he going to be a guy who's going to be consistently on the money for us and someone who can take us to the next level, essentially? That is the question. I don't think he's proven that yet. And not to say in the next 10 games maybe he can still prove that, but I'm not, and this isn't me sitting here bashing Werner. I've been really happy with him since he's come to the club, but I haven't been convinced that this guy is going to be the player to take us into the next level yet. That's the thing. Yeah,
I kind of agree. I think that a lot can change in the next 10 games. Let's say he absolutely smashes it from now until the end of the season. I think opinions can change, but from what I've seen of him so far, I just would prefer to maybe go for a younger, up-and-coming player that absolutely, completely suits what we need to do. And I think Werner, I think you're right in saying he's served his purpose so far, being in this squad. His performance level hasn't been terrible. 4 goal contributions in 7 games is a really good return from what he's shown so far. So I'm happy. Like you, I am happy with Timo. But I just feel like if we were to sign him for 15 million in a year or two's time, we'll probably be looking to move him on and get someone more up and coming and someone that can be a long-term fit to what we're trying to do. So I kind of feel like it could be a bit of a waste of time signing him if we're going to just look to move him on in a couple of years, and it will just play into that narrative of Spurs just going for the cheap option and penny pinching a little bit and not pushing on and doing exactly what we need to do in the window. So right now, as it stands, I would prefer to go for someone else that's a proper one-on-one demon, that's really good at finishing, that's really good at crossing, that's really adept at Ange Postecoglou's system. But like I said, things probably can change in the next 10 games.
Well, I do really like him, though, which is really beneficial. I think he's got really great character. You've seen how he's settled into the squad, how the members of the squad really have taken to him, and they really like him, I think. And that's clear to see how he's been with and how people talk about him and everything like that. So that's really beneficial. But I guess it depends how ruthless Postecoglou is when it comes to these kind of things, and we'll have to wait and see in the summer. But look, I'm hoping and I'm rooting for him to prove us wrong. I just think at the moment it's a close call, but I think at the moment I'm just siding with no.
Yeah. All right, let's move on and talk about a player called Quinton Timber, the twin brother of Arsenal's Willian Timber. HITC are reporting that Feyenoord midfielder Quinton Timber could be joining his twin brother Willian in England this summer. Tottenham are amongst the sides paying close attention to his progress. Newcastle are also believed to have been impressed by Timber this season, having a really good season out in Feyenoord under Arne Slot.
Yeah, and he's a central midfield player. He's actually, for a for his position, he gets quite a lot of goal contributions. I think he's got 6 goals and 6 assists this season from central midfield. So that proves he's got that ability to make a difference potentially offensively. But he is known as like more of a defensive midfielder. Also can like playing that box to box role as well. And he's been having a real fine season at a good age. I think 22. Obviously, his brother moved to Arsenal and got that really unfortunate injury at the beginning of the season, ruling him out for the majority of the season. But if he's any close to like in the quality stakes as his brother, he could be quite a find. And if he's really starting to, show himself this season, maybe that's one that should be really seriously considered. I can't say I've seen too much of final, but I've done some research on him and he does seem like a real good quality player. So the fact that he's getting goal contributions tells me that he's someone who maybe could be that kind of midfielder to battle maybe Papsar in that number 8 position. Yeah,
I've actually I've watched a bit of final this season in the Champions League, and I've been fairly impressed with him every time I've seen him play. He does like to play deeper up the pitch, but he likes to forage forward. He always gets shots off a goal pretty much every game. I think he's a player of high quality, and I think him moving into the Premier League is probably the next step for him. I think he's, from a quality level, definitely can stand up to that challenge. But how mad would it be to have twin brothers, one playing for Arsenal, one playing for Tottenham?
That'll be great. It'll be great banter. I'm sure there'll be some really good stuff coming out of that.
Next up, we're going to talk about Willian Pacho of Eintracht Frankfurt. Sasha Tavoleri actually brought us a report in January saying that Spurs are interested in Pancho, and he's quite retweeted that and says Spurs do have a strong interest in Willian Pacho, but will also face competition from Arsenal, who are targeting the Frankfurt defender. Frankfurt have asked for 50 million euros for the player. Ange Postecoglou does want a left-sided defender to fill the cover for Mickey van der Ven next season. Tottenham will attempt to buy players which improve the first 11 and bench for next season. So once again, Spurs being linked to defenders.
Yeah, and I think Pancho, obviously out in Frankfurt, having a great season. He's a big, strong, tall defender who's really good in like those one-on-one situations. He's got really good recovery pace, obviously not on the level of Van der Ven, but then who does? But he's really impressed this season, and he does seem to be rising through the ranks in European football very quickly. Spent I think one season at Antwerp, and now he's having a really great season at Frankfurt and already being linked with another move there. So looks like a defender that a lot of clubs around Europe are really taking notice of at the moment. A very young defender, but again, Spurs looking to the future in terms of the longevity of our back line, and he would go a long way as well into like securing that with him. Imagine Romero and Van der Ven with Dragutin and Pancho as backups would be really great. Obviously, him being a left-footed centre-back as well is very beneficial. He's quite comfortable on the ball as well from what I've seen. So I'm all for it. 50 million is pretty expensive, but we did spend, 25 million on Dragutin in January. So
50 on Brennan as well.
50 on Brennan. So I don't think we're worried. Look, 50 million in this market, what was that, 45 million pounds is expensive, but that's the going rate if you want quality and even just for depth in your squad. So I hope that we get someone like him, the quality of like Pancho in the summer, and to really improve that backline, because with European football next season, there's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of opportunities for a lot of players. So there's going to be a lot of game time for them.
And I really like this direction that we're going in. If this rumour is true, you look at Pancho, who is maybe more aggressive than Mickey van der Ven, but similar in terms of using that recovery pace to get himself out of trouble. And then you've got on the right-hand side Dragutin, who's very similar to Christian Romero in terms of the way they like to play their football, being on the front foot, comfortable on the ball. So if we could go into next season with those 4 options as our centre-back options, I mean, what a world away it was from where we were like this time a year ago.
6 months ago.
6 months ago, exactly. So I think it's unbelievable if we could get this deal over the line. I think he won't come in and demand first team football week in, week out, similar to like Radu Dragutin is coming as a young player trying to make his way in the game. And like you say, with a lot of football Spurs are potentially going to have next year, whether it be in Champions League or Europa League, there'll be enough minutes for him and Dragutin, I think, next season. So I'm looking at the 4 options. If we have those 4 options, I mean, I'm looking at those options, probably one of the best, if not the best, in the Premier League.
It's actually mad to think about. If we had sorted out our centre-back issue in the summer, like where we'd be even this season. Like if in that run, if we didn't consistently play Emerson and Davis for like, what was it, eight games or so, like where would we be? Like we would be so close to that top of the table right now. It's just a shame that, you know, we called it in the summer, like that centre back issue wasn't sorted. It came back to bite us, and now we're in a race for top 4 rather than a race for something more than that, which I think a few more wins, which I think we would have gotten if we had our proper centre backs. It's just a shame that's how it panned out.
It's a massive shame, and it always works out like that at Tottenham Hotspur. How many times have we sat here and called out the transfer business, and those specific reasons come back to bite us? I mean, we didn't think it would come back to bite us all in one game and be out for so long, but it is what it is. That's what happened, and we even let go of Davinson Sanchez after the window and had no even chance to replace him, and I think it was ridiculous at that moment in time. We had Eric Dyer at the club who played one game, and even with centre-back injuries, they didn't want to use him. So, I mean, it's clear for everyone to see that the transfer business in the summer that we did was good, but we left ourselves way too short.
And you can even see the difference it just made in one game on the weekend with Van de Ven going off injured. Instead of having to bring on Emerson or Davis, we had Dragutin there and how he fitted in. And so the evidence is literally there after one game, what a difference it makes having, you know, suitable backups.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And talking of Radu Dragutin, Jack Pickbrook has done an article on Radu Dragutin and talking about the mentality that he does have. And he says Dragutin's aim in the transfer window was always to come to Tottenham and test himself in the Premier League. It's not about the money. If he had joined Bayern and played, he could have earned almost double what he would earn at Spurs. It was always about being wanted, about the fact that Spurs had moved for him much earlier than Bayern, and about 2 phone calls with Ange Postecoglou to spell out where he fitted in. Dragutin weighs his own food, measures his own sleep, and likes to go to the gym before and after training if he can. When Dragutin, who has 1 year left on a degree course in Romania, is now playing, he likes to play chess in his spare time. Dragutin pores over footage of his own game, analysing his mistakes and finding areas to improve. Sounds like a player with good set of head on his shoulders.
Definitely, and you couple all of that in with the fact that he did choose Spurs over Bayern. It goes to show that how well thought out his thinking was when he was going through that process. It must have been a very difficult decision. We had, you know, not only did he have those options, but he probably had his agent in his ear, who's also, by the way, been speaking recently. He never shuts up, does he? Dragutin's agent, that's never stopped. But he had his agent in his ear.
In a positive way, though.
Yeah, he has been speaking positively, but he's just always talking. There's always some sort of quote from his agent coming out. But he had his agent in his ear in January, didn't he? Saying, you know, kind of pushing him to Bayern. So he had that pressure. He had the money pressure as well. And he still stuck to his guns, and he chose Tottenham. So, you know, you couple all of that in with the mentality that, you know, Pickbrook has laid out for there. It goes to show that he clearly is thinks very carefully about all his decisions and what he's going to do and how he wants to progress as a player. And the fact that he after all that decision making, he chose Tottenham, I think speaks of who he is as a person. And I think that goes to show me that we're in good hands with him as one of our centre backs.
Yeah, and it could have been very easy for him just to go to Bayern Munich. Obviously, they're a much bigger club than us. They've won German league 11 years in a row, whatever it is. You know, a gigantic football club. And when teams like that come in for you, it's really hard to say no, especially when you're going up against a team like Tottenham, who, you know, we haven't done well over the past couple of years. Spurs have been a bit of a mess. Things are going obviously in the right direction now with Ange Postecoglou, but it would have been very easy for him to go and join Bayern Munich. But he's looked at both projects. He looked at where he fits in both projects. And yes, he probably would have seen more game time at Bayern Munich at this season. You look at Eric Dyer, he's gone there and he's played more or less a lot of minutes since joining Bayern Munich. So you got to commend Radu Dragutin for the decision he's taken, and he's looked at it in terms of his progression in his career, as opposed to where I am right here, right now, getting the minutes and the money.
Yeah, definitely.
So that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories we brought to you today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.